Hello, this is Brian Alikhani. Today, I'd like to continue the discussions around cyberbullying and explain to you how you could help prevent that. In my previous video, I described to you who the victims of cyberbullying are and how they're affected. So, to recap from the previous discussion, cyberbullying victim is somebody who gets impersonated or there is a derogatory content created by somebody else on their behalf on internet in an attempt to damage your or their online reputation. For instance, your name could be Brian, and somebody named Greg or Jacob could start impersonating you. For years, you could guess this could be a person that you fired or somebody like that, but you may be shocked that it could be your church-going neighbor. Once you know for sure who it is, and normally you do by the type of content they post, sometimes they expose themselves on the videos verbally, by speech, by action. A physical part of their body gets posted, gets revealed, which is a very strong evidence. Once you know who it is, I highly recommend that you do not contact them unless you really know or sure that this person is a kind of a person you can talk to. If you if you're not sure about the mental conditions or stability of that person, I recommend not to contact them and do not take the matter in your hands either. Try to collect as much as evidence as you can and share that with the law enforcement. Having friends in the law enforcement, either the police department or FBI, could help you. If you don't have it, you still can go collect these evidences and take legal action against that person. So what do you do once you collected all these evidences? Um, there is such a thing called electronic evidence. There are companies who provide services around electronic content for courts. There are quite a few organizations you can look up. It's called e-evidence. You could look up that, Google that on the internet, and hopefully you can get some links in your areas or region about the companies that provide that kind of a service. If you cannot find those, you could continue by looking at Yellow Pages or phone directory. But normally you're able to find a company who can hopefully help you collect such evidence. The best thing to do is to report that to law enforcement and say that I have been impersonated by this person, and do not to try to do anything out of ordinary because you're normally dealing with a person who's mentally um, unstable. Like I said, it could be a church-going person that you know it surprises you, but a church-going person or somebody with faith in God is highly capable of ungodly behavior and evil behavior because of whatever you've done. They think you have done. They want to take a revenge on you. And so I highly recommend that you at least try to find out who is impersonating you. And most often people who are cyberbullied actually know who's impersonating them. And once you collect that information and provide it to law enforcement, if that person is a student, the schools, public school systems have strong policies for cyberbullying among teenagers. And the cyberbullying is really popular among teenagers. So an adult person who commits that kind of a crime may have never grown up to become mature either. And that could tie that person to your your assumptions of who that could be. For instance, if you know a person, an adult person who has childlike behavior, he plays with toys at the corner where you live, or acted like a childish, or their physical structure, is something that you've seen in the past and you see it again in the video, in some sort of video. You could tie those together and prove that that's a person. And normally persons who think like childs or teenagers, they're more often capable of cyberbullying because they have not taken that maturity level. But in the other hand, they could be just evil person without knowing it. They could be bipolar, could have all kinds of disability. It is not your responsibility to fix them or straighten them up. All you have to do is look for ways to prevent it and report it and try to have the law enforcement or people with authority to reach out to them to explain to them that they're being watched and they could face severe consequences if their actions continue. In my next video, I will provide tips on how you could identify companies that provide electronic evidence. We call that e-evidence. They help you collect the information that you put the information that you've collected into digital evidence that are useful for courts, and in case you end up meeting that person in the court. Knowing who it is, like I said, is important, because if you're dealing with an impersonator or a cyberbully who has something to lose rather than a person who has nothing to lose, you're in a better shape to take legal action, because that person has a career job like you do, and they could get in serious trouble once you initiate your response to their actions. So I appreciate your listening to this video, and I hope it's been useful to you. Thanks.